What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. It's free. It helps get the video out there. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Before I start, I just want to say this is a requested video, but with that being said, let's get right into the story. As a man, once we start to get older, for most, the things we used to do when we were younger change. You probably used to go out 3 to 4 times a week with the guys. Spend money like it was water on buying clothes, getting fresh. But I would say once you hit those 30s, your outlook on what's important becomes a little different. Especially if you are a family man with a wife and kids. When you are a provider, father, husband, it can definitely be a challenge. And to keep it real, it can be exhausting as well. But as a man, we know what we sign up for. We put a smile on our face and wake up daily with one goal: to make sure our families are straight. Food on the table, roof over our heads, clothes on our backs. But in the mix of all that, everyone still needs time for themselves. Some make their home their place of peace and sanctuary. You might create yourself a nice little man cave to hang out at after a long day, to just relax, clear your mind, and have some me time. Others might rely on friends or family that's a little bit younger to come pull them out the house. Like, "Unc, you need a break. You going with us tonight." But for most men, when you are so busy on the grind, you look up and realize, I haven't did nothing for months. So a birthday or something like that comes around and you decide to do something you want to do and take a night out for yourself. But we never think it will be our last. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case of a man who went out to celebrate his birthday with friends at a Baltimore casino, but never made it back home. Back in 2017, 36-year-old Charles Allen had created a great life for himself in Baltimore. Originally from Virginia, but Maryland was home. Charles, who was called Ryan by family and friends, graduated from Harbor City High School. After that, trying to find his way in life, he went through a few jobs. But Charles ended up landing a good career at the MTA, where he was a bus driver and also a dispatcher. He loved working for the company and interacting with the people in the city. In his personal life, he found love early on and would eventually get married, and the couple had 3 beautiful kids. By 2017, Charles was all the way into his career, having been with the company for 15 years, and a full-time father and husband as well. He often wouldn't take a break from work. Even in his downtime, he found other hustles, like running a snowball stand and a hot dog stand as well. Charles' main focus was providing a stable life for his family. They had a nice home in Owens Mills, Baltimore County. And that year, around about his birthday, he decided he would take some much deserved me time and go out to celebrate with a few friends. A fun night out on the town at the Horseshoe Casino. On Saturday, August 5th, 2017, Charles kissed his wife, told his kids he would see them later, and headed out. As the night went on, his wife immediately became concerned when Charles didn't call, check in, or shoot her a text asking was the kids okay, which was completely out of his character. When he didn't come home that night, her concern grew even more. She went to file a missing persons report, and BPD went to speak to casino workers and also a few friends of Charles who was out with him that night. Everyone confirmed he was in fact at the casino and left fully aware and in no harm's way. As days went on, it still wasn't any updates on the man and his whereabouts. About 1 week later, in the 4900 block of Lanier Avenue behind Sinai Hospital, a homeowner noticed a suspicious car that was just sitting on the block and had been parked for days. They grew concerned as they realized it hasn't moved. They called police to come check it out. As BPD responded to the location, they quickly realized it was a person in the vehicle, unresponsive. When they opened the door and checked the person's vitals, they realized the person was deceased. With a search of the car and information they found, it quickly helped them identify the man, unfortunately, as Charles Allen, the missing man. Police realized it wasn't no sign of foul play. Charles wasn't injured, and it didn't seem like a robbery. As the heartbreaking news was delivered to his wife and family, she spoke to the news and stated something just wasn't right. She stated Charles wasn't the type to just stray off, and he would come straight home as the area he was found in was unfamiliar to the man. She suspected foul play. As the news came out, with Baltimore being a city high in addiction, accidental overdoses, people instantly felt that was the case. But according to friends and family, Charles didn't indulge. Some felt, being that it was his birthday, maybe somebody he was with gave him a pill or something to just relax. And then once they saw it took an effect on the man and he was out, they drove him close to the hospital, hoping he would wake up or somebody would find him. But that mystery continued, and that was all speculation. Doing all my research, I couldn't find if Charles passed away from health problems, natural causes, or something else. I do know no one has ever been arrested, but I couldn't find his cause of death. Hopefully, his wife and family found answers and got closure. But rest in peace to Charles. I send my prayers and condolences to his family, definitely his wife and kids. When somebody first brought this story to my attention, which was months ago, at first I wasn't going to cover it because I didn't understand what could have happened. It seems like one of them situations with more questions than answers. So I will leave this one open for discussion. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts on the situation in the comments. And what do you think happened to Charles? Yeah, man, this is a super crazy story. I really don't understand what took place. Like I said, nobody has ever been arrested. Hopefully his wife know and the family know, and maybe they just ain't want to put it out there. But y'all leave it in the comments. Definitely tap that like button if you're feeling the content. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. This your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out. What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in the case. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Before I get into this, I just want to say it's a requested video. But with that being said, let's get right into the story. For most grown, everyday working people, we dream of providing a good, stable life for our families. Somewhere put up, out the way, nice house, food on the table. That's why we work so hard. Some are blessed and fortunate enough to achieve that dream. But there's still others out here that live or grow up in certain environments that might not be considered the most safest. But they still have the same dreams and responsibilities as the next man or woman. To take care of their kids, provide food, shelter. It might not be a 3-story house in the suburbs, but it's definitely the same concept of doing your best for you and yours. I remember having a conversation years ago with a close friend of mine, and we discussed the differences in growing up in the trenches versus the suburbs or good part of town. As a person that has been on both sides of the fence and know it doesn't matter where you live at, it's the people that make the environment. Meaning, if you live in the burbs around cutthroat, trigger happy people, it will be just as dangerous as the trenches. His argument was it's way more dangerous in most inner cities in America because of lack of opportunity, the amount of people, and everything that's going on. Meaning, even if you are a working man, not in a mix, you still can lose your life, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, get robbed, walking home from work, or make an enemy because people are on edge and looking for a reason to crash out. But one thing for sure, unfortunately, in most cities across America, the streets are definitely undefeated and take souls no matter what's the reason. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be discussing the case of a man who went to visit his daughter on lunch break and got ambushed in the projects. Back in 2023, 27-year-old Desmond Gardner was a young man navigating life in Baltimore, described as laid back, down to earth, and hard working. Desmond, like most of us, was grinding to give his kids a better life. He had a daughter who lived in South Baltimore, Cherry Hill Homes to be exact. And for anybody that know anything about the area, it could definitely be considered dangerous and not the safest. But Desmond often went around there to visit. On January 26, 2023, this day wasn't no different. He was working, but had a lunch break coming up. Wanting to go see his baby girl, he decided during break he would swing by the projects before going back to finish his shift. Middle of winter, it was people outside, including a snack truck, when he pulled up to the area on Spelman Road. He decided he would go buy some snacks before going in the house to see his daughter. While walking, 3 masked men popped out the cut and shots went off. Desmond tried to get out the jam, run away from the men, but they were on his heels. And just a few feet away from where his daughter was waiting for him, he was hit and fell to the ground. Witnesses called BPD, who responded to the location to find Desmond suffering from multiple gunshot wounds from multiple different guns. And unfortunately, he was pronounced gone on the scene. Police found over 20 shell casings. As witnesses stated, it was an ambush, and 3 men jumped out of a car with masks on and started shooting like they was waiting for the man. At first, police didn't have much to go on, but video and images caught by cameras in the area, it showed 3 men chase Desmond down and stand over him, in which the community took that to heart because he lost his life only feet away from his daughter, who now had to grow up without her father. But all the men had masks on and hoodies. A few days would go by when Baltimore County Police made a traffic stop. Inside the car was a 17-year-old teen named Paris Harris. Police noticed he kept moving around, looked like he was nervous, like he was tucking something in his dip. A search of him revealed he was in possession of a handgun, so he was taken into custody. While sitting, the gun was sent to the lab for ballistic testing, and detectives soon realized they had a match for the bullets fired from one of the guns used to take Desmond's life, and they now had one of the murder weapons. They decided to search the young man's phone. Pictures showed him holding the same gun while wearing a teal hoodie and also the same New Balances the shooter had on in a video of the ambush. With that, he was charged with first-degree hit and handgun violations. A few months would go by and the streets was talking. They identified a 24-year-old man named Andrew Carey as one of the other shooters. He was also taken into custody, charged with first-degree hit as well. As Paris' case made its way to court, first his lawyer argued people in Baltimore pass guns around all the time like it's nothing, and that the young man had the hit weapon probably because of that reason. When asked about the clothes, the lawyer claimed half of the city dressed the same way. It could have been anybody wearing that same outfit. But in the last minute, prosecutors pulled the move. They had phone records that tracked the location of the young man the day of the shooting. It showed he traveled from West Baltimore to Cherry Hill around about the same time as the hit on Desmond. Then drove to DC as one of his friends got shot that same day. It was never a motive given on why they ambushed Desmond or what the situation was about. But with the evidence against him, at just 20 years old, a jury found Paris guilty on all accounts, and he was sentenced to life in prison plus 15 years. As the judge claimed, he was cold and had no regard for life. As Andrew sat awaiting trial, His lawyer fought to get the case thrown out, claiming he had been sitting for years and the state had violated his right to a speedy trial. The judge extended time to the prosecutors. The case was set to go to trial in June of this year, but as of now, there's no updates on the case. The third shooter was never identified. Rest in peace to Desmond. I send my prayers and condolences to his family, especially his daughter. That could traumatize a child, losing your father in that kind of way. Hopefully, she has a strong support system and is doing well. I don't know what the beef was about, what Desmond did for them to feel like he had to go and do it like that, broad daylight, while he was going to visit his daughter. I even thought, how did they even know Yo was going over there at that exact same time for them to be waiting? So it kind of sounded like a backdoor situation. But like we was talking about earlier, in certain environments with so much going on, people lose their lives every day for serious reasons, petty reasons, or just for being at the wrong place at the wrong time. I won't speculate on this one. Instead, I will leave it open for discussion. Y'all let me know what y'all think about the situation. And do you yourself feel like certain environments are safer than others? Or do you feel like it's all on a person, what they got going on, or what they are into? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Yeah, man, crazy situation. Rest in peace, that man. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another episode of the Baltimore Way. In this video, I'll be discussing the terror of a 3-week-long crime spree that resulted in 3 women losing their lives. But before we get into this video, please hit that like button, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. And of course, feel free to share this video with everyone you know. Also, if you'd like to see more episodes of the Baltimore Way, please click the link to the playlist in the description box after this video to get caught up. Everything in this video is alleged. All right, let's get into it. It all started on June 24th, 2024, when a convenience store worker was attacked with a knife in Baltimore City. Law enforcement couldn't have anticipated how that incident would snowball into 3 weeks of terror. The man police suspected in that June 24 attack is 36-year-old Brian Cherry. 2 days later, on June 26th, a male worker who was passing out free medical supplies at the East Baltimore Medical Center was also attacked by a man with a knife for no apparent reason. The worker was viciously cut 8 times. He suffered wounds to the neck, both hands, his rib cage, and shoulder. Despite his horrific injuries, the medical worker miraculously survived. At the hospital, the medical center worker told police he'd never seen or spoken to the man who came after him before. The entire incident was captured by the clinic's surveillance cameras. A male fitting Brian Cherry's description was seen in the surveillance footage attacking the medical worker. On July 1st, Baltimore City Police issued a warrant for Brian Cherry's arrest. Brian's alleged crimes would only intensify as police searched for him. Brian would allegedly make his way to Baltimore County, where he lurked around a Middle River neighborhood and a nearby Royal Farms, where he stole a drink. He took notice of a home on Teos Circle. Residing in that home was 75-year-old Ayanna Elizabeth Sellers and her granddaughter, 29-year-old Autumn Harvey. Autumn moved in with her grandmother a few years ago after her grandfather passed away. Ayanna and Autumn were described as kind and caring women. Ayanna would help those in need and feed the hungry. Autumn, although shy, had a bright and inviting personality. The granddaughter and grandmother had no idea of the horror that would lead to their demise. Overnight on July 6th, Brian allegedly utilized a plastic lawn chair and climbed into a window of Ayanna and Autumn's home on Teo Circle, but not before leaving behind a freshly lit cigarette on the ground next to the window. According to reports, after Brian allegedly entered the home, he brutally attacked Autumn and Ayanna in their bedrooms, leaving them to perish. County police went to the home the following day on July 7th after receiving a call for a wellness check on Ayanna and Autumn. Family members had not heard from them in 2 days. When officers arrived at the home, they found Autumn in her room with apparent trauma to her upper body. Her grandmother, Ayanna, was found in her room with blunt force trauma to her head. An autopsy revealed that Autumn was cut several times in the head, neck, and shoulder. Investigators also learned that Ayanna's wallet and credit cards turned up missing. Baltimore County Police investigators analyzed neighborhood surveillance cameras and checked into Ayanna's credit card statements. From those statements, detectives learned the card was used at a Dollar General and Walgreens in Baltimore City. Camera footage from those stores showed a man that matched Brian Cherry's description making unauthorized purchases with Ayanna's stolen card. At the Walgreens, detectives found out Brian picked up a prescription for a woman living on Abbott Court in Baltimore City. What investigators didn't know is that the woman would be the next person's life Brian would allegedly end. On July 24th, 2024, exactly 1 week after Ayanna and Autumn were found slain, Baltimore City Police were called to the 800 block of Abbott Court in Latrobe Homes for reports of a woman screaming. The 911 caller reported seeing a man with blood on his clothes going in and out of a home on the block. When city police arrived at the housing unit on Abbott Court, they busted down the door to check on anyone inside the home that may have been harmed. That's when they found 38-year-old Sierra Johnson, half dressed on the living room sofa, gone from blunt force trauma to the face and head. A witness identified the suspect as Brian Cherry. The witness said they saw Brian escape through a back window just before officers arrived. Sierra Johnson was a proud mother of 2 children. She was beautiful, adventurous, and free-spirited. She had a big heart and deeply loved her family and friends. Her smile was infectious and would light up any space she entered. BPD later tracked down Brian a few blocks north from Abbott Court and arrested him for Sierra's slaying and for the attempted slaying of the medical center worker at EBMC. Brian was taken to Central Booking, where he was given no bail. During this time, Baltimore County Police were still working on the investigation of Autumn Harvey and Ayanna Sellers' slaying. The cigarette that was left on the ground outside the window of Ayanna and Autumn's home was sent for DNA testing. It came back as a match to Brian Cherry. His DNA was already in the system from his previous arrest. With the DNA and the addition of the other evidence, County Police later served Brian Cherry with a warrant for the double slaying of Autumn and Ayanna. While on this alleged crime spree, Brian was out on pre-trial release for pending felony drug charges with the intent to distribute from 2023. Brian will have his day in court on all of his charges related to these cases. He is innocent until proven guilty. May Autumn Harvey, Ayanna Sellers, and Sierra Johnson rest in peace. The loss of these three women's lives impacted their families tremendously. I send them my deepest condolences and well wishes. Sierra lost her life just days before her 39th birthday, which was on July 23rd. She was sadly laid to rest on the day she was born. No motive has been revealed in either murder case. Some news reports say that Sierra was an associate of Brian's. As far as his connection to Autumn and Ayanna, I don't believe there's any direct connection besides it being an opportunistic situation that ended in tragedy. The families are hoping to receive justice. Some reports have suggested that Brian may have continued his slaying spree and he was stopped in his tracks. Do you believe that is the case? What are your thoughts on this story? Let me know in the comments below. All right, fam, that's it for this episode of the Baltimore Way. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony Two Times. Until next time.
What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony Two Times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one, fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Let's get right into the story. When most people decide to hit the streets and hustle, it's mostly for financial gain and survival. It's no application, no bosses. You make your own hours and the opportunities are endless. So some people choose to trap to make ends meet rather than going the traditional way or working a 9 to 5. But you also have individuals that get put in a situation where they have to make a choice they usually wouldn't make. Meaning, you might be a working man. You lose your job and have a family to feed, causing you to need money fast. So you decide to grab a pack. You might say to yourself, this is a temporary solution until I shake back. Besides, no matter what, your kids have to eat. But the thing about the streets is, even if you are just tiptoeing out there in that field, unlike a job, there's no rules and regulations. People prey on the ones they feel like don't belong. It's survival of the fittest. Nothing is given and everything is taken. So when someone with principles and morals enters that world, the scavengers and wolves can smell them from a mile away. Some people know, once I jump out here, I gotta be on a different type of time. Even if I don't agree with the way they living, I gotta survive and adapt to my new reality. But it's a cold game. Nobody cares about your situation, why you decided to hustle in the first place, your family, how cool you might be as a person. Once you have something another person wants in that world, usually product or money, no matter if you are just trying to stay afloat and keep your head above water, the sharks will come. And when they are hungry, they will try to eat with no questions asked. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll be taking it all the way back to 2014 to discuss a case of a night out that ended in a street deal gone wrong. Back in 2014, 28-year-old Aaron Ned was navigating life in Baltimore. Aaron was a family man at heart with a wife and kids. He kept a job and was a provider. But that year, things would get rough for the family. They had lost their place to live, so they needed to find a temporary solution. During his research, Aaron found they could go stay at a Welcome Inn Extended Stay Motel in Parkville, Baltimore County. Still over $200 a week though, so he still needed income. He decided to pick up a pack and hustle in the area. Nothing major, sell a little bit of grass since the foot traffic around there was heavy and people were always trying to smoke. He would pass his number out, giving everybody his nickname, Turtle, and letting them know he had the loud. His wife and kids would often leave the room when it was time for him to catch a cell, or he would call the person to the bathroom since the room was small, not wanting his kids to see or witness that, or more importantly, not wanting to get jammed up by police since the area was hot. On December 27th, that night, Aaron was in a room with his wife and kids, also his homeboy, who he called Biggs. He let his wife hold his phone as he stepped outside for a little second. In another part of town was two men. At the time, 26-year-old Mark Garland and 30-year-old Perrance Anderson. The two were both with their girlfriends, getting ready to hit the casino for a night out. Perrance's girl, who we will call Shannon, and Mark's girl, who we will call Erica. Shannon was under the influence and had been drinking heavily. So even though it was her car, the two men hopped in the back seat and told Erica she should drive. They decided first they needed to go get something to smoke on. Perrance remembered getting a man's number earlier that day who called himself Turtle, referring to Ern. He told Erica, like, all right, shorty, we're going to hit the county and make a stop first. I will guide you where we need to go. But in the back seat, he told Mark something different. They was about to make a move. After a short drive from Northeast Baltimore, they arrived to the Welcome Inn. The men told their girlfriends to wait in the car and park by a nearby business. They called Ern's phone and his wife answered. They started bopping towards the motel and saw Ern outside. They stated they wanted to cop some grass. He stated, all right, bet, it's in the room. They walked back. As Biggs was sitting on the bed, also Ern's wife and kids. He took one of the men in the bathroom to make the cell, and one stood at the room door. At first, it was quiet. Then inside the bathroom, a struggle started. Ern yelled for Biggs to help, but a gun was put to his head, and he was told to sit back down. Ern's wife, scared, put the kids under the cover, and she also covered her head. Seconds later, multiple shots went off, and the men fled the scene. County police were quickly notified to the shooting. They arrived to the room to find Ern suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was unfortunately pronounced gone at the scene. Biggs and his wife told police it was two men in hoodies. They robbed the man, taking his grass, and ransacked the room, asking where the money at, and then took an iPad. Biggs claimed both had guns, and he never saw them before. At the same time, police were getting notified of a suspicious car that was close by, parked by a nearby business. County police walked up on a vehicle. Inside was Shannon, Erica, Mark, and Perrance. Police claimed they smelled grass and felt the four were acting strange. Around the corner, witnesses was telling police the description of the two men they saw running after the shots went off, and police were ready on each other back and forth. They stated the men matched the description, so they searched them, finding a part from a gun. After taking all four in for questioning, they showed Ern's wife and Biggs a photo lineup of the men, in which they both identified Mark and Perrance. They claimed both of the men had guns, so they don't know where the shots came from. Shannon, still under the influence, claimed she was asleep during the whole situation, and she don't know what happened. But Erica gave the whole rundown. She told police she took the men to the motel, and 5 minutes later, they walked back to the car, opened the trunk, dropping something heavy in there. She then stated they then told her, before they go to the casino, take us back around the way. We forgot something. So they drove back to Edge Park Road in Northeast Baltimore. The men went inside, changed clothes, and came back outside. She claimed Perrance told her, man, I dropped my phone back at the scene, shorty. We gotta drive back. He told Shannon to get out and look for the phone, and that's when police pulled up on them. Now knowing Perrance and Mark were the ones in the room, both were taken into custody, charged with first-degree murder. A GSR, or gunshot residue test, was performed on both men, and allegedly, both of them tested positive. While in custody at Baltimore County Detention Center, they both called their girlfriends, telling both of them to make sure they get rid of the dirty shoes, in which police got the recordings and felt like that was code for the guns. Police felt like Shannon's brother got rid of the weapons. As the case started making its way to trial, it was multiple witnesses, including Erica, Biggs, Ern's wife, and motel residents. It came down to who was the actual shooter, in which nobody claimed to know. But prosecutors painted the case as two men who went to rob Ern, using their girlfriends as the getaway drivers and to try to cover it up. In the end, with phone records, witnesses' statements, jail calls, and coming back to the scene, both Mark and Perrance were found guilty and sentenced to life, all suspended but 50 years in prison. Both men tried to appeal their convictions, with their lawyers claiming police had no probable cause to pull them over in the first place, since the car was parked. But with statements and other evidence, they both lost their appeals and remain in custody. Rest in peace to Ern. I send my prayers and condolences to his wife and kids, who had to witness that just 2 days after Christmas. According to his wife, he wasn't a street dude. He was just trying to make enough to take care of his family. And he was looking for a way to bounce back and get their house back. But unfortunately, that's usually how it goes. The ones who lose their life are usually the ones not in their lifestyle. Mark and Perez turned the casino night to 50 years in prison, all the smoke and for an iPad. It's crazy how people in the same place be on two different type of times. Aaron was trying to make a way for his family, and them two was looking for somebody to take off. 3 lives gone for a few ounces and an iPad. But hey, that's the Baltimore way. Man, crazy story. Rest in peace, that man. I send my prayers to his family. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. Y'all leave it in the comments. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. It's your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.